Paul Swinney, how is it that the Labour Party in Wales can be on board for the changes, yet, as we saw yesterday, the Labour Party in Holyrood were voting against these proposals?
Because that's the entire nature of devolution. Each part of the UK can be able to make its own decisions based on the merits of its own legislative processes. The issue with the Scottish Parliament is we've been very concerned, the Labour Party in Scotland, about the 24 powers that are still going to be subject to common frameworks, and we need to get greater clarity over how they will be processed. We have major risks associated with that. Imagine procurement, for example, where public sector contracts could be subject to a UK framework, where in Scotland we have them tied to having real living wage requirements, where that could be overturned by a UK common framework. We need to make sure that workers are protected in Scotland. That's why we voted against that decision since grant a legislative consent motion in the Scottish Parliament.
Paul Sweeney, your party has consistently called for the re-nationalisation. What's been announced now is not going that far. But do we have to have a new model for the way we work the railways?
Well, it's nice to see the first part of Labour's manifesto commitment being enacted by the Transport Secretary today. Although it's time-bound, it's not nationalisation in a real sense. It's still going to be bound to returning it to the private sector. Why return it to the private sector? We've already seen 3 occasions on the East Coast the private sector has failed time and time again. This is yet again an example of losses being taken by the taxpayer and then profits siphoned off by the private sector. It's just unacceptable. When we have other state-owned companies from other countries buying up our railways and running them for the profits benefiting their national railways, we need to have a wholesale re-nationalisation and public ownership of our railway infrastructure so that benefit, the profits accrue to the public good. We've seen when East Coast was nationalised in 2009 to 2014 under the Labour government that it was the most successful it's ever been in its history, and we need to get back to that model of public control and democratic control of our railways. That's the only way forward for railways in Britain.